Engineers could be great businessmen. When tech geniuses are serious about making money, Wall Street is simply no match. However, making money from technology, especially in the open source field, sometimes could be highly controversial. A typical example of this is the company OpenAI. The chatbot created by this company, ChatGPT, takes the tech world by storm. The tech behind that chatbot is solid, with few glitches. But its creator, OpenAI, has been embroiled in controversy for 4 years. Some say it has become a plaything in Microsoft's hands. Others even lament that it has fallen to become close AI. What achievements has OpenAI made? Why is it being questioned? Is this skepticism grounded? Hi, my name is Yi. Today I'm going to talk about ChatGPT and its controversial creator OpenAI. In December 2015, OpenAI was founded. The company had an ambitious goal to create AGI. AGI is just one letter different from AI, but it's more like science fiction compared to current AI technology. AGI stands for Artificial General Intelligence. Today's AI technology are quite limited. Tasks like facial recognition and text localization all require customized AI models, yet none of them can reach the average human level. AGI, on the other hand, can do everything a human can and more. Some might think this is a pipe dream, especially after the 2 AI winters, but this time, it might be different. One of OpenAI's co-founders, Greg Brockman, discussed this in an interview with Lex Fridman. Greg believes this AI wave, started in 2012, demonstrates 3 important properties. First, generality. Today's AI models are all similar in principle, but can solve a wide range of problems. Face recognition, voice assistants, chess and video games all get solved through neural networks combined with backpropagation. In fact, years after the interview, this generality has become even more pronounced. For example, in 2022, we have seen AI applications generating pictures based on text descriptions. Not only can it handle text, but also image. The second property, according to Greg, is AI's competence. AI models have become increasingly powerful in many fields. Like in computer vision, 40 years of research generates all those traditional methods, but when deep learning comes, it simply dominates. The third property is scalability. With more data and larger neural nets, you get more capable artificial intelligence, and this trend hasn't reached its end. As computation gets cheaper and cheaper, stronger AI awaits. With these 3 characteristics in place, Greg is pretty optimistic about what's next, and AGI just seems not that science fictional. So what exactly is AGI? Let's put it this way. AGI has the capability to converse with Einstein about physics, create music that rivals Beethoven and Chopin, and write poetry that could hold its own against William Shakespeare. Such intelligence could be breathtaking. Imagine if William Shakespeare had Einstein's level of understanding of the universe. What kind of poetry would he create? On the other hand, if Einstein approached the physics problems with the sensibility and talent of Shakespeare and Chopin, what discoveries would he make? With such advanced intelligence, solving humanity's challenging problems takes little effort. Cancer, nuclear fusion, space traveling could be finally addressed. However, if AGI were tired of eliminating human problems and decided to eliminate humanity instead, it would take little effort too. That's why OpenAI set their goal as not only pursuing AGI, but also ensuring it's safe and beneficial for all humanity. To achieve this goal, OpenAI started off as a non-profit, focused on ideals rather than profits. While there's nothing wrong with making money, it often leads to competition, but that could get risky in the pursuit of AGI, especially when commercial companies prioritize speed over safety. If AGI were to malfunction and harm humanity instead of helping it, the consequences would be catastrophic. Hence, OpenAI chose the non-profit model, allowing the company to make decisions based on its mission rather than shareholder interests. All its research findings could be shared freely with the world. This non-profit model effectively avoids competition, but also presents its own challenges, as we'll discuss later. In its charter, OpenAI also pledged to cooperate instead of compete when someone else is closer to AGI. That's what I call peace and love. In pursuit of a safe AGI, OpenAI decided to be the goalkeeper, while also aiming for a score. In fact, scoring is more important than goalkeeping. If someone else takes the lead and insists on speed over safety, there is not much to do. So while maintaining its non-profit form, OpenAI also has to be competitive, and this is simply far too impractical. However, OpenAI was in good hands. At least that's what they believed. In its founding announcement, in addition to top researchers, there was also an all-star list of investors, including Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, Reid Hoffman, co-founder of LinkedIn, Peter Thiel, co-founder of PayPal, and Sam Altman, then president of Y Combinator. The last company may not be as famous, but it's literally the startup guru in Silicon Valley. In 2015, the year OpenAI was founded, the total market value of companies brought to the market by Y Combinator had surpassed $65 billion, including well-known companies like Airbnb, Dropbox, and Docker, which must be quite familiar to my fellow programmer friends. Sam Altman, a university dropout like many other Silicon Valley leaders, honed his skills in operations and financing in his career as president of Y Combinator. In 2019, Sam Altman became the CEO of OpenAI and took the company on a fast-growing yet highly controversial journey. Prior to this turning point, development of the company was steady but somewhat unimpressive, especially considering its size. With its impressive lineup of investors, including a $1 billion initial investment, it was surprising to find that OpenAI's achievements in the first 3 years were not only significantly less impactful than later developments such as DALL-E and ChatGPT, but also couldn't compete with Google-owned DeepMind, the creator of AlphaGo. In 2016, AlphaGo defeated top Go player Lee Sedol, sparking a worldwide AI craze. At that time, I was still in college, not so enthusiastic about the tech buzzwords, yet I was also deeply impacted. I chose machine learning as my specialization at graduate school. That's how DeepMind essentially played a critical part in one of the most important life decisions of a student from far, far away China. Yet at the same time, OpenAI, also a star AI company, was still relatively unknown. Later, I did have fun playing with OpenAI Gym, but that was only within the AI community. Before 2018, the only widely acknowledged moment of OpenAI was in August 2017, when it beat a top player in Dota 2. But even that was riding on the popularity of the Dota 2 International. Still, this victory was limited to 1v1, with both sides restricted to playing only the Shadow Fiend, making it not that interesting as a real game. This lackluster beginning of OpenAI was primarily due to its self-imposed challenge of being a non-profit. Despite claiming to have $1 billion in funding, OpenAI's financial situation wasn't that solid as it appeared. An open letter from Kai-Fu Lee mentioned that the $1 billion was just a target number, not an actual fund in OpenAI's bank account. In this situation, being a non-profit faced even greater challenge. Being a non-profit doesn't mean it has to hate money, but its primary objective is not to make a profit. Interestingly, OpenAI even made a statement in their charter. If they can't compete, they'll exit the competition and help their competitors. This literally means, dear investors, for the sake of love and peace, give me your money and just let it go. This effectively kills any chance of commercial fundraising, and that's the most important source of capital and motivation for startups. The aforementioned AI startup, DeepMind, was acquired by Google in 2014 and received over $500 million, which all 75 employees enjoyed. Besides this rare case, the salaries for AI positions at those big tech companies are not stingy either. According to Tom Eck, the CTO of industry platforms at IBM in 2017, the salaries of top AI researchers could rival those of NFL quarterbacks, with annual salaries reaching $5 million or even $10 million, and a great deal of it came from stock options, which a non-profit like OpenAI cannot provide. Fundraising is simply a no-go for them, and their equity is not that rewarding. In March 2016, Ian Goodfellow, the well-known author of the Generative Adversarial Network paper, joined OpenAI. His salary for the first 9 months, combined with signing bonus, came out to $800,000. That's not a small amount, but for someone at his tier in AI, it's basically the lowest in the US. If he were to go somewhere else, he could easily multiply that number by 5 or even a 10. Other top researchers who join OpenAI also face the same problem of a significant income drop. Worse still, although people with an ideal may not care about money, a shortage of funding also threatens the ideal itself. AI research is always a costly endeavor. The aforementioned AI star DeepMind lost $154 million in 2016 and $341 million in 2017. Those are numbers after revenue was deducted. In 2016, DeepMind was providing services for Google and had earned a revenue, so the total expenses were even higher. On the other hand, from the publicly disclosed financial information of OpenAI, in 2016, OpenAI's total expenses were $11 million, with $7 million being salaries, which left no more than $4 million for funding research. By comparison, just the training of AlphaGo cost roughly $35 million for DeepMind. Without those resources, ideal would eventually perish. People with an ideal can bear with lower payment, but if things can't get done, it's just a waste of life, and unbearable for anyone. That's probably why many star scholars at OpenAI left in the first 2 years. We mentioned Ian Goodfellow earlier. After jump from Google to OpenAI for less than a year, he went back to Google Research. Also in 2017, 3 AI robotics scholars left OpenAI to start their own business. As things went south, one of OpenAI's main sponsors, Elon Musk, added to the chaos. In June 2017, Andrej Karpathy, a PhD student of Professor Fei-Fei Li at Stanford University, left OpenAI for Tesla and led the AI research for self-driving after working for 2.5 years. The conflict of interest made this a bit awkward. As Tesla was heavily investing in AI research, it entered the same arena as OpenAI. With a slow progress in research due to lack of funding and equity incentives, talented researchers at OpenAI might seek opportunities elsewhere. When those top scientists left, Elon Musk, as a board member, would no doubtly be the first few to know. His Tesla was in desperate need of those AI talents, but recruiting those geniuses would arguably be seen as poaching from the outside view. Hence, in February 2018, when OpenAI announced the introduction of a list of new sponsors, including the beloved wallet killer Gabe Newell, they also officially announced a peaceful breakup with Elon Musk. Right after this, the following month, one of the co-founders of OpenAI, Sam Altman, resigned his position as the president of Y Combinator and became the first CEO of OpenAI. Under the leadership of the new CEO, OpenAI went on lightning-fast growing, yet quickly became embroiled in controversies. The first was its transition from non-profit to a semi-profit architecture, and the second was a $10 billion investment in partnership with Microsoft. Yes, you heard that right. The small non-profit startup with less than $4 million research funding in their first year has already secured a $10 billion investment over several years and become an AI giant valued at $29 billion. So what happened? How did OpenAI suddenly change its narrative from a lover to a killer? It all started with OpenAI's new CEO, Sam Altman. This entrepreneur grew up a vegetarian, but when it comes to business, he's definitely a predator. As mentioned earlier, in 2015, when OpenAI was founded, he was the president of Y Combinator, which then nurtured many startups with a total market valuation of over $65 billion. By the time he resigned in 2018, the top 100 companies in total valued more than $100 billion. Y Combinator incubate new companies by guiding them on how to burn money, of course on the right things. If the money runs out and there is no success, they learn from their experience. But once they manage to succeed, they become big. In short, win big or die trying. There's just no room for mediocrity. The president of such a company, who resigned from his old job to lead OpenAI, would never be content with simply getting by. The first and most obvious change was that OpenAI ramped up its research efforts. In June 2018, OpenAI released a new study on Dota 2, and this time they didn't hold back. They didn't play it safe with just 1v1 games. Instead, they played 5-on-5 formal matches, which led to a significant increase in research costs. The training of those AI agents requires battles after battles, and the difficulty of training is orders of magnitude higher. To speed things up, OpenAI ran matches on a large number of servers simultaneously for parallel training. Specifically, 128,000 CPU cores and 256 GPU accelerators were used. At such scale, AI could accumulate 180 years of game time in just one day. In April 2019, the AI team officially defeated the top Dota 2 team OG with 2 back-to-back victories. However, compared to those later achievements, this was not that significant. The real breakthrough came in OpenAI's research into language models. Here comes the protagonist of the final chapter of our story today, the one and only GPT family. In June 2018, OpenAI released a research paper about a versatile language model. Although the exact term GPT didn't appear in the text, it was indeed GPT-1. The paper introduced a novel concept of generative pre-training. Traditional training methods require manually annotated text dataset. For example, if you want to train an AI model to do English-Chinese translation, you would need to prepare a large number of English-Chinese sentence pairs for the AI to learn from. If you wanted to train a chatbot, you would need to provide a large number of Q&A dialogues, all of which need to be created manually. Generative pre-training is different. I can simply use unmodified text to train the AI model. How does it work? Just let AI predict the next word based on the previous text. For example, a sentence goes like, Tom studies diligently, his teachers say he is a great, and I let AI generate the next word after the word great. If the result is student, which is the same as the original text, then it's considered correct. If not, the model is further trained to converge to the correct answer. With this new training scheme, researchers no longer have to spend huge resources on manually annotated text. The next word in each sentence is the answer to the previous part. That means all digital text can be fed to AI models to learn, which is an enormous amount of data, far greater than any existing human-labeled dataset. But what's the purpose of this training scheme in the first place? The answer is simple. This enables AI to write like a human, to learn how different words are organized sequentially into sentences from the vast amount of pre-existing human text. OpenAI researchers found that AI models trained this way have enormous potential. If you further train it with English-Chinese sentence pairs, it turns into a more accurate translation AI than any existing models. If you feed it with dialogue dataset, it quickly becomes top AI chatbot. To further increase its power, all you need is just money. More computation resources and larger model size always generate stronger capability, because the pre-training process can utilize all of the text information in the human world, which creates a large space for AI to develop. Books, lyrics, Reddit discussions, and even software code, all kinds of text can be fed into the AI model, as long as you have enough hard drives to accommodate the information. By continually increasing the number of neural net parameters and the amount of training text, the potential of the pre-trained model keeps growing, and the performance of the fine-tuned AI models targeting specific tasks also improves. This form of generative pre-training, combined with a model structure called transformer, got the name Generative Pre-trained Transformer, which is GPT for short. Following GPT-2 in 2019 and GPT-3 in 2020, the upgrading idea was to burn more money in exchange for larger model scale. GPT-2 had a total of 1.5 billion parameters, while GPT-3 was boosted to a whopping 175 billion parameters. Today, this money-burning development still goes strong, with no ceiling in sight. Along this journey, there have been those famous byproducts like DALL-E and ChatGPT. These finally made OpenAI a globally renowned star AI company. However, how did this money-burning journey suddenly start in the first place? This takes us back to OpenAI's first CEO, Sam Altman. Although he brought up a $100 billion business at Y Combinator, he was more of a techie than a businessman. He primarily worked with tech startups in Silicon Valley, and before dropping out of Stanford, he studied computer science. The money-burning journey also started with something techie, which is an academic paper. 2 months after the new CEO took office, and 1 month before the GPT research was released, in May 2018, OpenAI released a study on computational power requirements for AI development. The conclusion was that the computational power requirements for AI would grow explosively and even much faster than Moore's law. It would double every 3.4 months. After this theory basis was established, Sam Altman began his technical operations. In March 2019, OpenAI established a limited partnership company named OpenAI LP, controlled by the original OpenAI Nonprofits Board. The newly established OpenAI LP adopted a very rare capped profit business model, where investors could receive returns, but the profit was capped at no more than 100 times. The later the investors joined, the lower the profit cap. Any profits exceeding this limitation in the future would belong to OpenAI Nonprofit, and be used for those love and peace endeavors, such as philanthropic research and educational projects, or even, as Sam Altman stated in an interview, distributed directly to the general public as cash. In addition to the profit restrictions, each new investor must sign an agreement to prioritize OpenAI's charter and agree that OpenAI Nonprofits Board controls OpenAI LP. This novel business structure allowed OpenAI to pivot from its struggling operations and use the limited partnership to raise funds and offer high equity incentives to employees. However, with funding for big projects and boosted morale, there were also controversies and questions that arose at the same time. On the Hacker News forum of the Y Combinator website, people started questioning the 100x limit, claiming that the returns of Google's early investors were roughly 20x, and that the 100x limit basically meant unlimited returns. They argued that OpenAI had forgotten its original mission and had downgraded to a commercial company. There were also opinions criticizing the vagueness of OpenAI LP's terms and believed that large investors still had many ways to grab a large share of the profits or even directly monopolize the research results. The first critique was not quite solid. The 20x growth rate in the post was based on Google's stock returns after it went public, yet OpenAI LP has only just been established. If you signed a $250,000 check for Google's two young founders in 1998 like Jeff Bezos did, your return would be way more than 100x, adding 2 zeros and even more. However, the second critique quickly gained solid evidence. Just 3 months after the establishment of OpenAI LP, Microsoft came into the picture. Since 2016, Microsoft has been OpenAI's cloud service provider for model training, well aware of OpenAI's research capability and potential. Right after OpenAI LP was established, Microsoft invested nearly $1 billion. Interestingly, part of this was basically vouchers for Azure cloud servers, which means some investment would eventually flow back to Microsoft. That's pretty sharp. OpenAI's research and commercialization is obviously accelerated after the investment. Firstly, OpenAI was much more comfortable on their money-burning journey, as GPT-2 and GPT-3 rapidly evolved. Secondly, with the support of Microsoft's cloud capabilities, these powerful research models were quickly transformed into applications that everyone could use, such as DALL-E, DALL-E 2, and Codex derived from GPT-3. The last project, Codex, was later commercialized as the GitHub Copilot service, which can be integrated into code editors like VS Code and generate code based on users' text description. At the end of 2022, Andrej Karpathy, who was mentioned earlier, tweeted that 80% of his code was written by GitHub Copilot, with 80% accuracy. He said he was just prompting and editing instead of coding. At the end of 2021, Codex was still a research project, yet it had become a stable commercial product by the end of 2022. That's quite some demonstration of OpenAI and Microsoft's collaboration. However, those two applications just couldn't compare with the explosive development of ChatGPT at the end of 2022. ChatGPT was based on GPT 3.5, which has the same model size as GPT 3, but has been optimized specifically for conversations. The result is magical. Never before in human history has there been a web product with such a lightning growth. To reach 1 million users, it took Twitter 2 years, Facebook 10 months. For ChatGPT, it's only 5 days. 2 months later, ChatGPT had gained 100 million monthly active users. In comparison, the previous quick hit, TikTok, took 9 months to reach that goal. Around the globe, people chat with it, use it to write emails, translate articles, and even write and debug code. In this unprecedented global craze and growth, it's quite remarkable that such a computationally demanding AI manages to maintain a relatively real-time response speed. That's effectively a global show of strength for Microsoft's Azure cloud service. Besides, with the exclusive Azure OpenAI service, Microsoft is sure to gain a large number of new cloud users. What's more, ChatGPT itself indicates a direct impact on Google's search services. Just look at the giant's responses. The code-red internal announcement, the redirecting of enormous resources into competitor development, the return of Larry Page and Sergey Brin, all these actions are solid proof for the value that Microsoft is holding with OpenAI. In addition to these implicit benefits, Microsoft's direct income from OpenAI is already quite substantial. GitHub Copilot provides free service to students and open source project maintainers, but other ordinary developers have to pay a monthly fee of $10 or an annual fee of $100. Additionally, DALL-E 2 has been integrated into Bing Image Creator and the design software Microsoft Designer, which will also generate direct income soon. As for the widely prevalent ChatGPT, it has also been integrated into Microsoft Teams Premium membership, which is costing $10 a month. ChatGPT is used to quickly generate meeting summaries and automatically assign tasks. As for ChatGPT itself, the product has launched a premium version named ChatGPT Plus, costing $20 a month, which allows for prior server connections, faster responses, and priority access to new features. As an investor in OpenAI LP, Microsoft also shares this revenue. Looking at all these revenue streams, Microsoft's next $10 billion investment is by no means a loss, yet it further solidifies the aforementioned criticisms. OpenAI's original goal was to make sure AGI benefits all of humanity. If this powerful intelligence was monopolized by anyone, it would lead to wealth polarization, social unrest, and eventually catastrophic consequences. OpenAI wanted to keep research results open to the public through a non-profit model and prevent the technology from being monopolized. That's the meaning of open in its name. However, although AGI is still far, far away, the profits from GPT are already pouring into Microsoft's pockets. Starting with GPT-2, OpenAI has slowed down model releasing. Instead of open sourcing all models at once, they now release them in stages, by parameter size. OpenAI says this is because of security concerns, yet with GPT-3 the model isn't released at all. OpenAI only provides a paid API. To use it, you send your input to the API, and the API sends back the result. What's inside? Nobody knows. OpenAI gave 3 reasons for this. The first reason is they need this commercial product to get enough funding to succeed. The second reason is the model is just too big for developers to run on a reasonable budget. The third reason is still based on security concerns. They believe this API form can better prevent abuse. The first 2 reasons are straightforward. Business is business. The third reason, security, is the main concern and continues from GPT-2. OpenAI's concerns about security aren't unfounded. There's already a lot of evidence for internet bots. Articles, comments, news, even videos, all could be mass-produced by AI. No one knows exactly how many bots are there. Some theory even states that bots have already surpassed real humans in number and the internet is dead. OpenAI's concerns about GPT being misused are definitely reasonable. Public issue discussion could be easily dominated by major opinion. The consequences of GPT-3 equipped bots are terrifying. Saying this isn't meant to defend OpenAI, but we should focus on the real problem rather than blindly opposing everything. OpenAI commercialized their research and sent most of the profits to Microsoft. Even though this is not a direct violation of the OpenAI Charter, it's a clear deviation from their original goal of ensuring AGI serves all of humanity. However, OpenAI is still trying to balance commercial and public interests. They've released public papers for all 3 generations of GPT models, and so far, the content is more detailed than any other commercial company. They still offer free versions of ChatGPT and Copilot. In fact, as discussed earlier, goalkeeping is important, but scoring is even more important. From what we have seen in today's video, if OpenAI has never engaged in commercial business, it's simply impossible for them to reach their ideal. Without the first $1 billion investment from Microsoft and the $10 billion to come, there's simply no chance for ChatGPT and the future GPT-4. So my conclusion is still, having a company like OpenAI is better than not having one. Even though its image is not as perfect as it used to be, it is still the goalkeeper who's leading the charge, at least for now. It's still working towards its ideal, trying to make sure AGI serves everyone. Such cause requires both money and a conscience, and so far, OpenAI manages a great balance. Regardless the ending of humanity's pursuit of AGI, with the fact that once there was such a company, we could at least say we have tried. That's it for today's video. If you liked it, please hit the like and subscribe button and leave your thoughts in the comments section. My name is Yi. I'll see you in the next one.